of the okay. I'm hoping that in the capture or the framing of the image, I kept the house almost secondary there. This too, the car obviously was I wanted it to play a kind of a secondary role, or not. I didn't want the picture to be only about the car. Obviously, it's more about the trees, and I did a bit of the burning in the trees. I didn't want the sky or any clouds or anything like that to leave their presence there. So again, it's what we keep out of the frame too. I learned that again, I'm trained in drawing and painting. I started taking pictures fairly seriously around 2013. So this one, I was on my way to an urgent care clinic. I had 103 a fever, and I was driving myself there, and of course I saw this and parked, but got out and took some pictures of it. I'm just hoping that the tree and the cast shadows are all doing kind of an orchestrated thing here. This past Christmas, I went back home. I'm originally from Milwaukee, so I went back home there, and of course was intrigued by how this bush was obscuring the house behind it, and but again, I don't choose any old photo where something is obscured. It just needs to hang. It just, and I can't explain it. I mean, but I mean, if I'm an art educator, I should be able to explain it. But gosh, all right. Well, anyway, I like maybe how the tree maybe is trying to connect the two houses there. So again, it's trying not to make the usual, oh, there's a house, click. Just I'm trying to invent maybe something compositionally interesting. I like these open areas of white here, and gosh, I mean, it's almost that the white of the house is as white as the sky. So I like confusing things, and then my Cornell students and I teach photography online for Cornell, and just the other day my student talked about the randomness of the color world, and I agree. I imagine that's why a lot of folks do gravitate toward black and white. And then I've certainly heard the other side of this story too. The world that we point our cameras and our lenses at, yeah, and indeed, there is a lot of random color there. Our job, I think, is to curate when the color in the photograph makes sense, or the color has a voice in the photo. And as you can see, I come across a lot of images where I took it obviously in the color, and I look at it just thinking, is the color saying anything, or is it just is the color just is the color just incidental? The blue sky, the green grass, the brown tree, or whatever. If maybe if that's the only thing that a color is doing, then I'm, you know, I tend to move on and explore maybe grayscale or split tone or a sepia. Here, this one, I was driving home. There's a big hedge there. I saw this man working on the hedge. I think in this little sequence of images, I probably took 10 to 20 images, and that one just seemed to make the most sense. Okay, another influence is the is a great early color photographer, Saul Leiter. Let me scoot this out of the way here so I can see the text here. And from him, I got the idea that photos are not just about documentation, but the commenting on the process of seeing itself. And I mentioned that already. And I try to make, I try to capture and make images that flatten and frustrate the viewer. And there's some excellent examples of Saul's work here. And of course, his work influenced some images here I took in the shower stall, here on the left and the right, and then my son in the condo pool that we have here. And obviously, the picture in the middle has a very painter feel. I like how water can turn our photo images into faux, I don't know, faux painterly images. And there's the one on the left again is my son. I took that one actually in 2013. That's the year that I started to get a little serious about it. But it's interesting. I mean, you know, I've seen a million photos of people at the poolside, you know, but I was hoping that and it was not posed. It was just the life happening there, me there with the camera capture. I'm hoping that by reducing this, you know, this pool experience to largely a kind of S curve, and that's it. I'm hoping that works. I should mention that one on the left may be the only image I think that we're seeing today. Might be the only image that was taken with a cropped sensor. When I learned about the full frame, my poor wife had to endure me talking about it constantly. But it's I think it's safe to say that, you know, obviously even with a cropped sensor you can take a decent image. And the picture on the right here is my son's friend, and he that day in the pool he was wearing these U.S. flag trunks. I don't, for the life of me, remember how I got this. People have been asking me if I was underwater. No, I don't swim, so I was not underwater. So I obviously was above the pool looking down. So Ben he might have been floating and maybe had his head back under the water. I'm not sure. But anyway, it has an interesting painterly feel there. Another influence is Louis Balt, this very formalist influence here, and I'm not ashamed to tell you all that I didn't know Balt until 2015 during a photo review at the Phoenix Art Museum. So here's how he influenced me here. Just driving by, and I saw this fence, and I obscured the house there. I think the color helps to tie it together. Two, I think. Here's a capture here, downtown Milwaukee, my hometown. It's kind of a reflection in camera, conflation of a chair and some buildings. So I'll merge them both there. And then all three of these captures here are all in Phoenix here. The one in the upper left, that was an older one too. I think that was about 2015, 16. That might be the only other one with the cropped sensor, I think. And this, yeah, I was struck by the shadow shape there. So there's this obviously kind of the rigorous formalist temperament here or approach. This one too. Yeah, where the clouds happen to be in relation to the umbrella, and the red orange here being repeated throughout. And yeah, it's interesting, and the white cloud or the white in the clouds, of course, being repeated here too. Yeah, this is I obviously have a speech impediment, but if I think a picture is interesting enough, I will knock on the strangers' doors and ask them if I can take pictures on their property there. So yeah, that was fun. There was a nice little happy accident here too with this white trunk here, and the white car. And another one of the Gestalt laws that I'm interested in is the law of Gestalt continuity here between the bottom edge of the tree here and the car there. So I'm interested in Gestalt similarity, proximity, continuity, and the closure. Those are my three four Gestalt laws here that I use in my pictures here. Yeah, this one too. I think this was an example. Is has kind of a strict formalist kind of a minimal feeling, but I think this one talks about moving where you think the right shapes and the right values and colors are all falling in the frame that you want. I mean, if you had been with me, but just a couple of feet to the left, it was that there was windows and a lawn and the front door and everything. But obviously, I didn't want that in the photo. I purposely chose this light toned foreground wall, and the wall behind was also white too. So I purposely wanted white on white, and I like to think to everyone that I was aware of the triangle here on the bottom and the triangle up at top. So I'm trying to carefully curate what ends up in my frame. Yeah. Okay, this one too, I was driving along. I was initially attracted to the cast shadow of the street sign on the wall. Okay, so I'm taking pictures of that, and then I turn to my left, and I see this cross on the pole. So I thought they kind of rhymed. So often I'll be drawn to a subject, you know, and after I'm there, I'm taking pictures. I'll often stumble on something else that didn't initially draw me there. So I thought that's what's so fun about this, and I wouldn't want to know all the images that I'm taking, or why would I want to know the answers to the questions I'm asking? If I'm asking questions, why ask them if you already know the answer? If you're, or you know, if you're approaching things in a very conventional way, or you've got this set way of taking pictures, and you just keep, you know, repeating that over and over again. Right? Okay, this one too. Here is an example of Gestalt continuity. Here, that house and that wall are at least 40 yards apart. But in the photo though, I've connected them. Now here's one of those images where I kind of lose sleep over, thinking, you know, is this image only about, you know, the Gestalt laws? You know, so you know, maybe there's something else in there. I don't know. You know. So that, you know, I've got a very formalist impulse, and we're going to come up with that soon too, under Stephen Shore. But yeah, here's just a little take here. I might have been thinking of this Mayorwitz when I took my image here on the right. I like his a whole lot more. Okay, and then we go on to the art theorist James Elkins. He wrote this book, What Photography Is, and there it is. What photography is. He was comparing the lens to selenite, ice, and salt. And he thought that this selenite window was kind of, he thought of it as the a condition of photography. I'm like, okay, all right. So here, let me just scoot this out of the way. Let's get these things out of the way here. That's a big passage here. And in his book, he says, this is where I will begin, with a window made of selenite. A window made of selenite is, first of all, a flawed window. I cannot clearly imagine what the world would have looked like through it. The mesa sits like a cylinder of rock and an enormous bowl of desert, with mountains curling up in the distance, the little garden plots in the desert below, where the villagers still grow native corn and beans, are so far away that the people tending to them can just barely be discerned from the houses on top. Through the selenite windows, people in a coma would have seen nothing but the blue of the sky and the similar shades of adobe, mountain, and sand. The scene through the window, the world would look like ill-fitted piece of mosaic that crushed together, pressed and refracted, but by the translucent mineral into a nearly indecipherable pattern. The window's inclusions, its grit and spalling sheets of rock, would make the window more a reminder of the lit world beyond it than a representation of that world. The light would bend in such complicated and unhelpful ways that the view through the selenite window could only serve to demonstrate that something, I just love the way that he writes, would demonstrate that something was not being seen. rigorously unseen according to the inflexible rules of useless optics. Whoa, okay. Photography can be compared, I thought, when I first saw the photograph, to that selenite window. It promises a view of the world, but gives us a flattened object in which wrecked reminders of the world are lodged. Yeesh. Okay, then from there, and then we got some examples here of black ice and salt there. So let's see how it might have influenced. Oh, well, we'll get to that. And then we have Stephen Shore from his book, The Nature of Photographs. So I've got it right here. Right there, you will probably have it. And he says, in drawing and painting, we have to draw in or paint in the foreground, middle ground, and background in our images. Whereas with photography, when focusing on a middle ground subject, the background just happens. What this, oh, and I did quote that from the book. For me, what this taught me is to try to control what I see in the frame, the foreground, middle ground, and background as much as is possible, whether that control is enforced or an intuitive reaction to what I see. You know, the thing that I notice in a lot of my beginner student of photographs is, you know, that they'll see something interesting in the middle ground or in the foreground. They and they'll take a photo of it, and they're not always aware of the role that the middle ground and the background is playing with that. And you know, of course, if you have experience drawing and painting, all of that has to be put in by hand. So maybe that has an influence, or you know, that affects maybe how you're taking photographs. Okay, I've got a wonderful painter friend, Israel Hirschberg. He once told me, or he actually told somebody else that the veil is more important than information. So if you check out my website, www.josephpodlesnik.com. If you go on there, one of the latter projects is a project of mine called the Veil and the Thicket. And I think Israel, I think, helped to influence that project. And I took this quote out of one of his Facebook albums, and album of photos I took in 2013, looking at things through a 17th century mirror. The surface of this mirror is wavy, mottled, and milky. It captures the scene and holds it flat to the surface in the same way a camera obscure image would appear on a ground viewing screen. It selects away trivialities and groups of the color values in a way that is both compelling and bewitching. So here's some examples of his of photographs taken reflected in this 17th century mirror. Some landscapes here, a little cityscape and his own self portrait. So let's see how this affected my work here. Oh, we've got another wonderful example here from Nan Golden. I tell you all, but to this day, anytime I see a car passing by and it's light coming through the window of a car, I always think of this image. I can't not. I mean, so it's just a really wonderful image, and I think it speaks to a lot of the ideas that Hirschberg and Elkins are talking about here. Okay, here's my interpretation of it. Passing a window here that was, I think it was whitewashed or whatever. Thought, okay, right? Driving by, I saw these two men. They were in, I think they were installing a new window. So you know that there's a window in a the picture itself is it can be a window here. So it's a window in a window. I like how this obscured the view behind. As you can tell, I dodged on the left side and then burned on the right side. I was hoping maybe to suggest an idea of I don't know, of the good and the bad. I don't know. But this one too, passing a window here that I believe a paint roller had been rolled on it. So I'm seeing myself here. That's me, and of course this flat, frustrating surface here. And then we have this little this little pedestrian. I think that was using James Elkin's camera. Actually, he sent me this camera, and he told me I could use it for a couple of weeks. So I think I was using his camera for that. So here too. It might have been the same long window, I think, too. So they're self-portraits. I think one of my projects was titled the seer unseen. So I can see you, but you can't see me. This was taken over at Christmas in my hometown, Milwaukee. Here, yeah. Again, it was very spontaneous. I'm walking along. I turn. Okay. Yeah, it was around Christmas, so I think people were spraying on faux snow, I guess, or frost or whatever on the windows. I thought that was fun. Me, I rented an Airbnb, and this is like a half a block away from the Airbnb. Just walking along, and I saw a cat in the window. But obviously, as you can tell by now, it's not clearly a photograph of me and a cat. So I'm always trying to frustrate the viewer, frustrate them. Maybe withholding the pleasure and satisfaction of immediate recognition. Okay, and now we have a wonderful edit. A wonderful edit. I'm talking way too fast here. The wonderful Elliot Erwitt, which what we're seeing here is John Zarkowski's commentary on this image. Innumerable visitors to the museum in which Elliot Erwitt's picture was made saw precisely what he saw or would have seen if the catalog had not told them that they were seeing interesting early and middle period works by X, Y, and Z and other masters. But what's interesting is faced with the contradiction between what he sees and what he reads, the average person will ignore what he sees. Oopsie. Yeah, no mechanism has ever been devised that has recorded in visual facts so clearly as photography. The consistent flaw in the system has been that it has recorded the wrong facts. Not what we knew was there, but what has appeared to be there. I mean, most people go to a museum to look at the pictures and not not the reflected light off of the pictures. I mean, and yet that was there, and I guess he had the presence of mind, he had the awareness to capture something that most people, I'm going to guess most people were just ignoring. So, and at the bottom here, the only way in which this criticism might in theory be met with reference to Hurwitz's photograph would be to claim that the picture demonstrates some philosophic truth, e.g. it shows that the true function of museums is not to exhibit pictures, but to house treasures. So what's curious is this photograph is a photograph of, it's a photograph of items, of things that hold pictures. It's not, it is definitely not a photograph of pictures. So I thought that was interesting. So this, actually in Stephen Shore's book, in his book is this photograph here too. So we're seeing a picture of a picture, and also the glare on the picture that reminds us that it's an object too. And then of my own attempts here, the top two, I believe, are in the Philly Museum, and the bottom example there. Oops, I'm seeing. Enjoy. Okay. Oh, you're most welcome, Terry. The bottom image there was taken at the Phoenix Art Museum. Again, this idea of the picture and then the object that is the picture. Oops. Okay, owing, I would think we've seen this idea of Gestalt closure being explored again and again here. Owing to the Gestalt law of closure, I strive to withhold the expectation, pleasure, and satisfaction of recognition. Yeah, I had a friend on Facebook who was a little frustrated that he was seeing the cast shadow of the tree on this covered car, but he wanted to see more of the trees. You know, more of the trees that were casting the shadows. And you know, I remember while I was taking the photograph, thinking, no, I want these tree trunks to just loom in the foreground and just be cropped, you know, cropped off and incomplete, and we see the trees in the background now. There's those palms there, and the one on the right, I was simply taking a walk. I turned to my right, and you know, this window, the window in the middle, it reminds me of James Elton's Black Ice, the selenite, the salt, you know, windows. So I think it's pretty obvious now. You know, that I've read those things, read his writings, and I thought, here there's every year here in Arizona, they have the Arizona Renaissance Fair, and I was struck by the person being blocked and occluded and hidden by the umbrella. Plus the interaction of these two colors there too. I've got a couple of versions of this. In one version, I cropped everything off on the left. So I'm kind of always agonizing over that too. Okay, and more of this idea of closure, of block, stunt, obscure, hide. Now, on the left side, I'm just driving along. I see these fronds, these palm fronds or something, and a man standing behind them. I parked, approached the man. I asked him if I could take his picture. He said, sure. I said, you don't have to, I'll turn around, sir. Just look straight ahead. I remember I took 10 or 15 images. And I think the one that worked, I think, was put that one there, where he's there and then he isn't there, he's there, he isn't there. On the right, I'm passing a furniture store, and there's this fake long plant of hanging in the window. And I remember it was cold in Phoenix here. I was wearing a coat, and I noticed how the shape of the hanging plant and my own body almost seemed to fit. Yeah, I mean, almost here in the legs too. And I like the little accent here of the tag on the left there. Okay, more of this idea of closure, of hiding, of obscuring things. I think the one on the left, I took that on Christmas Eve, actually, some years ago. Here I was passing a chandelier store, and there were palm trees across the street. You know, the palm trees and the chandelier as one. Again, these photographs are not composites. No, it's fun. I mean, I know I could blend these in post. I know I can do that, but it's fun to try to notice them and realize them and move in a certain way and compose them in the camera. Here on the right is another image from that Renaissance fair too. Large umbrella, and a man was in Middle Ages garb there, and just I liked how the man was being hidden there. All right. Okay, and we're almost done. I think there's only 2 more slides. I thought I would show you all an example of how I can play with images too. The image on the left is the raw file on the left. On the right, as you can see, I toned down the red, white, and blue effect. And I know it's interesting. It occurred to me earlier today. I didn't realize while I was editing this image, but I took the picture at this old vintage auto show. I guess I chose the vintage look, or a vintage like filter in post, and it kind of ties in with the whole vintage look. She's wearing a 50s garb here with the unsaddled shoes and that sort of thing. But as you can tell, I really lightened that background. I wanted her to stand out, almost make her almost seem kind of alone in the desert. But I was intrigued by the connection or the relationship of her to that car and the white cloth. I remember I was at this auto show taking pictures, and I saw that. I'm like, oh wow. And so yeah, so that those are the changes there. And then I think lastly here, the last image, a couple of weeks ago, I had a medical checkup, you know, and I'm coming out of the doctor's office, and I just I remember I parked, and when I went into the office, I saw these 2 cars there. I thought, there might be something interesting there. So I did the visit, and then coming out, again, you know, you move around, you move your frame around to see if anything interesting is happening in the frame, and then I saw this mountain peak in the distance, kind of settling. but I'm aware of this really annoying red car, this sports car on the foreground here too. So, well, well, that's it, everyone. That's it. I any questions? Wow, I made it almost on the hour there. Yes. Okay. Any questions? Nope.
Yes, I have a question. This is Michael. Can you
Okay.
hear me okay?
I can, sir. Yes.
Terrific. So tell me, do you are you showing images, full frame in the camera? Are you doing any cropping post? And how do you go about and frame your images?
Okay, there. Well, let's see if we go back here. All right, that's a great question. Okay, well, for the one the photo here is not cropped at all. I probably did some tweaking to the color. Oftentimes, color on the raw images, the color undigested color in the real world. Michael, it just seems too raw, too strident, or not unified. Unless that's the point or the message of the image, I'll play with a temper or adjust color. But here, as far as I know, there was no cropping done here. But obviously, I burned, dodged, and tweaked the color. I will tell you, Michael, that the raw file in the image on the left, the tram car, the concrete for the tram car was really white. It was very light, and it cut in the image in half. So I toned it down in order to make the bottom and the right, the bottom and the top halves of the image talk to each other a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm, again, coming from a drawing, painting, and design background, man, I've got a real formalist tendency in my work. But yeah, the image on the right, I've got both the color. I value actually both the color and the black and white versions of this one on the right. Again, I talked earlier about I've got two versions of this one too, cropped and uncropped.
Joe,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
I can, George.
This is George Taylor. I really enjoyed your talk, and early on you said that you were worried that your photographs were just about design.
Yes.
And they're not. I think what you do in a wonderful way is that you take space and segment it in a number of really wonderful and strange ways by using lines and obstructions and leaves and paint. And you take that image and deconstruct it into a number of different disparate segments. And then you ask us to put it back together. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful way of seeing that I never had seen before. And I congratulate you.
Thank you, George. Yeah, George, I'll tell you that if I look at a viewfinder and I got this quote from or I got this idea from Gary Winogrand. He said that he looks on the viewfinder and he sees the same old images again and again, he'll move, he'll do some. I mean, I don't, I'm not, I don't, I'm okay with purposely overexposing. I'll overexpose an image or underexpose it, or just I'll do anything just to ask questions about the design. And if my design questions can, can prompt questions on the part of the viewer, or maybe inspire viewers, I'll continue doing this. I want to mention that I've only added something to a photograph only one time. It was a photograph of my son, and he was running down a hill. I actually added a bird on the right side. But I have to tell you, other than that, I'll typically take things out of photographs. Let's see if I have any examples of that. Any examples where I've taken things out? Oh, actually, there were a few light reflections in this image, and I took them out, or I burned them. I wanted more of an even overall tone. I mean, at some point, if any of you are interested in seeing a lot of these before and after images, I'm more than happy to share it. The one here, I should, gosh, at some point I'll show you all the raw file of this one. It's a little different, and all of us, of course, know Ansel Adams' work, and we know that his negatives and the final prints are often not the same thing. He burned and dodged to a great effect. I think gosh, I think it was the art thinker John Berger, or someone, or maybe it was Ansel Adams, maybe, who thought of the negative, or in my case, the raw file. He saw the raw file as the composer's score, and you don't mess with that. You don't mess with the score. But obviously there's orchestras and quartets and bands all over the world who are they're all putting their interpretation or their own translation of that score. So I like to think of my raw images as the score, and then all of the different permutations of my translations of that score in the prints. Yeah. Let's see. Any other examples here? Oh well, this one too. As I mentioned earlier, I purposely dodged the left half of the image and burned the right half. I didn't make a lot of no. I didn't. I won't change much there. Maybe in some of these, George, I might have straightened out. I might have straightened out some of the lens distortion. I might have done that here, right there. But that, oops. Okay, we got some more. All right. Oh boy. Okay. All right. If you want. I'm sorry for not beeping on these messages. Bob, are you still on the call? Bob, no.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Bob, just go to this book, sir. Yeah, all the laws are here. And
Oh.
them too. Google them, or I've got handouts too. If you want, just send me.
Okay.
I've got handouts of a similarity, proximity, continuity, and a closure.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Any last questions here? Oh, thank you, Warren. Thanks. All right, so I've kind of yacked long enough here.
I think John has a question.
Okay.
Yes, please. I have a compliment and a question. First of all,
Okay.
thank you very much. I really appreciate that you were willing to integrate the concepts of photography and design. And I'm not trying to make this like about me or anything, but I went to school for graphic design, but I always had a strong background in photography. And it frustrated me because like I saw photography as part of this greater thing called design, but at least some of my teachers were very specialized, and they said, well, what do you want to be, a photographer or a designer? And I said like
Both.
yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
I didn't see that they were separate. So I'm really glad to see someone bringing a designer's
Great.
eye and mind to the field of photography, because when I would spend hours and hours working on some of my pictures, I would also even though I capture them, I would really design them. What you saw in what the final result would be something that I designed, something that I put forward. I mean, yes, there was a capturing, but there was a manufacturing process, a design process too. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh,
And the other real question I had was, have you ever heard of the concept of liminal spaces, like subliminal, but just liminal? Which the reason I bring that up is because in many of the pictures where I can tell you talk about trying to frustrate the viewer, maybe that you can almost see something, but maybe the subject is obscured by a glare or through a distorted window. It reminded me of this concept. It's part of internet subculture. The idea is a liminal space is almost like somewhere that you're not really supposed to be. It's like something you pass through on the way to getting somewhere, something that you wouldn't really think. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the term, but I like how you're explaining it. And actually, I'm going to scribble.
Please, it's think like subliminal, but
Right.
liminal.
Right.
I think
Gotcha.
LIMINAL, liminal spaces. And if you just do, I would suggest doing a Google search or even a YouTube search, because there's all kind of videos about it. Basically, it's like a bunch of photographs of these really, it's like uncanny. It's meant to almost like make you feel uneasy, because it's like, it's not the kind of place where you normally would hang out. There's like abandoned shopping malls, back rooms, musty back hallways. It's meant to invoke almost this like unease, like, am I really supposed to be here? And some of your photographs kind of just conjure that up in me. I was just wondering if you'd ever heard of that, or if that's something you were ever interested in.
Yeah, and as you probably know, John, that I'll check them out, and my guess is I'll be looking for or expecting or looking for interesting designs at the same time as I'm experiencing this, this weird space. Yeah, it's like I can't take that out of me. I'm so, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. There's a certain feeling you're going for, but there's also there's a thought and a feeling that are always together. Okay.
Yeah, gosh. Again, and you know this yourself. It comes from manually having to put things together, and not, I always think of this too. I've seen some great photo collage work too. I've not gotten there yet. There's I like to think of this as a continuum. On the one end, you have people who take photographs and will not crop, will not adjust or tweak or dodge or burn. No, I will not. You've got those folks, and then you've got people in the middle who burn and dodge a little bit and crop and change the color. I'm not above taking out elements. No, I'm out. I mean, if I think it focuses the viewer and helps the overall design, I'll take things out. As I mentioned, I've only one time added something, but on the other end of the continuum, you've got people who are actually, taking photographs and then compositing them, collaging them, and that you're kind of really getting into the painting and collage and that sort of thing. So here we all are, you all and myself, we're all on this continuum here. But I've got that written down. I would be.
Here, I'll type it out again.
And I just want to say hello to Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Hi. Okay.
Hey, Joseph, how are
Hi,
you?
hi. Good to see you.
You too. Can I say something to you?
Yes, yes.
I guess it's more of a
Here.
compliment. I mean, we've been friends for a few years now, and I love your work. I've been taking pictures my whole life. Both my parents were photographers, but
They were?
yeah, that's how they met. But what you were saying before about how you'll purposely overexpose or underexpose images. I feel like seeing that in your work has given me license to have so much more freedom. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Thanks. That means a lot to me, Jennifer. Thanks. All right.
So can I thank you, Joe? Can I
Sure,
say
of course.
thank you? I am looking forward to meeting you when you're in Philadelphia. I
Yes.
can't wait. And the other thing is, I just am so pleased that we've been able to do these Zoom meetings, because the Photographic Society will be celebrating its 160th year in October. And because we've been able to do the Zoom presentations, and because we've had incredible presenters like you and the people that did last month and the people that did January and all of that, it's just been fantastic. And so the Photographic Society will definitely make it to its 160th year, and then we will keep writing with light and writing with light, no matter what type of material, what type of equipment we use, we will write with light. And that's been the whole theory behind the Photographic Society for very close to 160 years. And I'm just thrilled that it's going to continue. And Joe, thank you. Thank you. It was an amazing presentation. And oh my gosh, if everybody doesn't run home and pick up that camera and take a picture
Boom.
or something.
Yes.
It's
Damn it. Yes.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And good night, everyone. Stay
Good night.
safe and stay healthy.
Night,
Take
everyone.
care. And thank Adam. Thank Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Bye.
Good night.